What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie298 coming at you live once again through the power of the internet, and this is my most disappointing games of 2020. So I do want to qualify that before I get into the list, because I know some of you are going to be mad about the games I chose. This is not the worst games of the year. These are the games that were most disappointing to me and a lot of other players that were expecting something different or expecting something better. A lot of the games on this list are still plenty of fun. They're still very enjoyable. You might love some of the games on this list, but you cannot argue that a good amount of people were disappointed by parts of the game, whether it's how they run, how they played, the storyline, the developer overpromising and underdelivering. Every game on this list disappointed at least somebody.
Yes, Blades also features a town building mode. You'll decide what your town looks like and be able to upgrade and decorate all of the individual elements in it. As your town levels up, you'll unlock new NPCs, quests, and more.
Starting off the list with Elder Scrolls Blades, and I have to say this was one of the most disappointing things of 2020, a year full of disappointments. This game is mostly frustrating because it's been almost a decade since we've had a true single-player Elder Scrolls game, and people really hoped that when Todd Howard promised that this game would be a full Elder Scrolls game on your phone, that it actually would be that. Instead, it turned out to be a very light phone app with very little content that didn't even really feel like an Elder Scrolls game, filled with microtransactions and a lot of pay-to-play and a lot of pay-to-wait, ultimately disappointing just about every fan of Elder Scrolls, knowing it's going to be a few years until we get a sequel to Skyrim, and instead we'll just be getting crap like this.
We never paid any heed to the ancient prophecies. Like fools, we clung to the old hatreds.
In the day and age of remakes, Warcraft Reforged should have... No. In a day and age of remakes, Warcraft 3 Reforged should have been a slam dunk, a home run. All they had to do was take an existing game and modernize it, and they absolutely failed to do this. One of the most disappointing things about this, of course, is the fact that it means there will probably never be a Warcraft 4, at least certainly not in the year 2020, but it's probably many years away. Warcraft 3 is still one of the most played games that Blizzard ever made, with their custom maps being some of the most amazing stuff in the world, and the ability to go back and play those custom maps and play this game would have been wonderful had they just not screwed it up.
They got a lock on us. Engine's been hit.
Get us out of here.
I'm losing control.
Cyberpunk 2077 is not a disappointing game if you own a high-end PC and you choose to play it there. However, if you're somebody who owns a base PlayStation 4 or a base Xbox One, chances are you were very disappointed by this game. Anybody that tried to install this and play this on day one when this game came out would have been extremely disappointed and are going to be glad to see it here on this list. Now, statistically speaking, the folks at CD Projekt Red will probably make sure that this section of this video does not age very well, but as it is right now, filming this in 2020, Cyberpunk 2077 on consoles is one of the biggest disappointments of the year.
No, I can't walk on the path of the right, 'cause I'm wrong.
I know a lot of people are going to be disappointed by seeing this game on the list because it was their favorite game, and in fact, this won Game of the Year by the Game Awards. But to say that a lot of people were disappointed by this game is a bit of an understatement, and it's not because the game itself is disappointing. It's actually a pretty decent game. However, due to the marketing and due to the feel of it being called Last of Us 2, people expecting it to be a sequel of the previous game, it just really fell kind of flat. The leaks that let that information be known before the game launched absolutely did not help that situation. In fact, it made people even more disappointed, and because of some of the story beats and the choices made by the director of this game, a lot of people found themselves disappointed. Now, if you can look past that, what lies underneath is a really excellent game, albeit a depressing one.
I've replayed that day in my head 1,000 times. The Avengers take the fall despite saving the day. We failed him. believe that we are dangerous.
The Avengers game should have been a blockbuster hit, and I feel like it absolutely would have been had it been a single-player game. But they chose to go in the direction of a looter shooter to compete with the likes of Destiny 2, and that was just a horrible design decision. Ultimately, what we got was a multiplayer-focused game filled with microtransactions and all of the trappings of looter shooters, with none of the story and none of the content that made us love these comic book characters to begin with. Ultimately, this was one of the biggest disappointments, not just for fans of the Avengers, not just for gamers, but for the people who own stock in Square Enix. Finally, rounding out the list is this looter shooter known as Crucible, a game that was so disappointing not to just gamers but the people who made the game that they chose to stop selling it, unlist it, and pretend it basically never existed, hopefully with a relaunch planned in the future. You can compare it to Destiny 2, you can compare it to Anthem, you can compare it to whatever you want, but most people didn't even hear about this game, and with the millions of dollars Amazon wasted on this game, it was less that it was disappointing to players, and more that it was disappointing to the folks who invested in it to begin with. I think this will be the year of failed looter shooters where people finally realize they'll never be able to capture that market. So, do you agree with my list? Were there games on this list that you disagree with? Are there games that were not on this list that you think should have been there? These are the most disappointing games to me, but if there was a game that disappointed you the most, I'd like to know in the comment section down below. While you're down there, drop a like on this video. If you haven't already subscribed, hit subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you can see some of my other 2020 wrap-up videos later here on the channel. And if you do that, I'd appreciate it. Guys, as always, thanks for watching. I love you very much, and I will speak with you again soon. More content like this to come.